Welcome everyone, another Financial 15. Lots of great information today. We're talking about a way to build multi-generational wealth. How do you transfer wealth from one generation to the next and do that in a tax-deferred way? We'll tackle one strategy to accomplish that today. You definitely want to stick around.
I'm giving away the early secret. We're attacking another insurance option that may come around. So it's part of our series here. And we may have a special guest that arrives as well. But today, multi-generations, how are we going to pass the wealth down? If you want to find this video or any of the other ones we've got, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Easy, click on. You'll find some great content there. Lots of things that are really interesting and good financial information as well. Like us on Facebook. And when you get a chance, please go to our website at beckerorr.com. Blogs, events, all of our YouTube stuff, as well as anything we can do to help you with your financial situation. But today we are talking strategies to build multi-generational wealth. Clint, what are we dealing with here? How do we start this topic? And what are ways that we can make sure that we've got money for the next generation?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we're going to bring in our guest, Adam Busk. He'll walk us through some of the insurance strategies and leave it to Kevin, Adam, up front. He steals your thunder and tells people how it's going to happen before we even bring you on the screen.
Yeah, I don't even know why I'm here, but thank you, Kevin. It's good to be here regardless.
Need the expert.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll start off talking multi-generational. So if you have kids and you have grandkids, this could be an insurance strategy which could help. There's lots of benefits to it. One of them, I'll pull this on the screen, then I'll let you walk through some of the details. But one of the reasons you might think, well, why in the world would I get insurance for my kids and my grandkids? Like an easy one. Well, insurance is cheap when people are young and healthy. And ideally, kids and grandkids will be in that category. So be able to lock in some great rates and get some cheaper insurance. Is that right, Adam?
That's right. Now Clinton is stealing my thunder, so that's
There
great. Yeah. So I mean, that's part of the thing. So when you think about insuring your kids, it's not necessarily, planning for them to pass away in X amount of time. It's more so locking in their health today. They're likely young, healthy, insurable. Those who have bought insurance before knows that the younger you are, typically the cheaper it is to buy coverage, right? As you do get older, that cost does tend to rise. Your health might change as time goes on. So the best time to buy insurance is always yesterday, right? Because you know what's happening yesterday. You don't know what's happening tomorrow when it comes to these things. Kids, as they go on, they may make career choices or health habit choices that may impact their insurability down the road as well. So they might not necessarily need it exactly today, but it's an asset that you can gift to them down the road when they need it most for their family, when they have a mortgage, when they have kids. Perhaps you have grandkids or great grandkids down the road. It's a way of trying to help protect them when they need it the most down the road. And it's just a unique gift that you can provide to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll talk about a few more of the ways. I'll pull this up here, Adam. It kind of touches on what you already did and then goes into how it works. Perhaps you can walk us through this.
Yeah, so usually when we're looking for insurance on a child, now this could be, your child, it can be your grandchild. Often grandparents are buying it to, again, help transfer wealth to future generations. They likely have insurance in place for themselves already, and this is just to, again, have that wealth kind of perpetuate multi-generational, cascading down the bloodline to make sure that there's always wealth in the family. So when we structure these policies, a number of different ways they can be structured. We're usually looking at, always looking at permanent life insurance to put in place for the child. We want to lock in those values. We want to lock in some growth. We'll chat in other videos about how permanent participating life insurance policies work and grow in value. All that growth is tax exempt. So that's another big feature is building tax exempt wealth within this policy that can either transfer to a future generation. There's ways that the kids could access it in the future should they need. Maybe they need some additional cash towards a house down payment. Maybe they need it for retirement down the road. Who knows what the reason is? There's options available to them. So when we do look at this, it's usually the parent or grandparent that owns the policy on that child or grandchild's life, and they own it. They're in control of it. They're paying for it, and they can decide when they want to transfer it to that next generation for ownership. So there's not a preset time that has to happen. They're essentially in the driver's seat. And you can either transfer it as a paid in full policy. So often these will do over a 10-year, 20-year time period, so that by the time you gift that policy to the child, it's completely paid for. They don't have to worry about making another payment during their lifetime on this policy. Instead of giving a gift of a liability that they have to keep paying year after year after year, this is paid in full. There's cash value there. It's growing. And they have the peace of mind knowing that they have something in place for their future family.
Yeah, I got one question. Is there a specific amount anybody should look for? I mean, I know each personal situation, but I mean, if you got a young child of 5, chances are, how much is with inflation not going to be worth by the time they're 60?
Well, that's a great question, Kevin. And so happens that I have an example here for you of that exact scenario. So thank you for that. Wow, that's incredible. So, I mean, there are underwriting limits. So it's not like I can go in and insure my kids for $10 million. I'd have to really prove that there is a $10 million insurance need for my children, right? So there are limitations as to how much you can get in place, but certainly getting something is better than nothing. So this is one particular example quoted with Equitable Life for a 5-year-old. I think it was male, if I remember correct. But again, kind of in that age bracket, it's not going to change dramatically. And I quoted for $250,000 of guaranteed coverage. So upfront, guaranteed payout is $250,000 should something happen to that child. Okay. And then we want to look at what are the payment amounts. Okay, so the premium for that $250,000 is just over $1,400. Now that's an annual premium, not a monthly premium. So it is always cheaper to pay a policy annually versus monthly. And then we can also add some additional options into this policy called riders. So this one's called a flexible guaranteed insurability, which means the child or grandchild has an option to buy additional insurance coverage at preset times for preset amounts down the road without having to prove that they're still healthy enough to qualify for insurance coverage. So it's just an extra layer that you can add on to help protect their future financial needs. So they might not need all of that coverage today, but down the road when they're starting their career, they have a family, they're buying a house, they very likely need more coverage than what you've put in place for them today. Okay, so this is not going to be enough to protect them for the rest of their lifetime, but it is certainly a step forward in the right direction. Other riders you can put in place, such thing as a critical illness protection. Again, you're locking in their health and insurability today, getting some coverage on them for that critical illness. And of course, all of this is intended as hopefully a gift that you can pass along to the kids down the road for when they need it the most for their families. But it is still insurance. So should the absolute unthinkable happen, which we hope is not the case, there is some value there in the insurance payouts to give your family additional time off work to grieve or take additional time off work to look after the child who's going through a serious illness battle. There is that cash there for those purposes. However, obviously with most insurance coverages, we're hoping none of this is needed anytime soon. Okay. So this is a policy that does grow in value over time. So as I mentioned, starts at $250,000. So what does that mean in the end? So here over this one I structured as a life pay. So we're paying this premium. I think, scroll down. So 20 years. So 20 years, you're paying that premium for a 20-year time period of $1,700 a year. Okay. After that, the policy is completely paid up. In the very far right-hand column on my screen, it says $250,000. That policy death benefit grows throughout their lifetime. And if we look at age 65, that is worth $558,000. To answer Kevin's question, what does it grow to down the road for future generations? Well, it grows to over $500,000. That's fantastic, right? So it's not just the 250 that you've started with. Okay. And if you paid $1,700 for 20 years, you've certainly gotten far more value out of it at that point in time. But there's also a cash value component to this. So that is a column right next to it, which at age 65 is, I think it's 306,000, if I can read that correctly.
Yep.
that's a significant amount of cash that, should they need some additional funds in retirement, they could structure a strategy to access that cash to help fund their retirement.
Mm-hmm. So the
lots of
concept,
different ways.
yeah, the concept we're building on here is really tax deferred or tax exempt wealth, right? Hopefully they don't need these funds and they have a long, healthy life, but by the time they're 60 or 65, well, now they have quite a pot of cash, either the cash value or the death benefit, that could add to their own retirement or their own estate plan. Like, you found a tax efficient way to build up wealth for the next generation.
You bet. That is exactly the goal of it. And it's just another unique gift that you can transfer wealth for multi-generations to come. So if all of a sudden that is something that anybody is interested in, obviously we want to make sure that you have the right insurance protections in place to begin with.
Yes.
Then we want to look at the kids and see, does that make sense? Is there enough room in your budget today? Is grandma and grandpa willing to do this as well for them? And see how that works in the end. So always happy to explore the options and make sure that we got the right strategies in place.
Yeah, I think that brings us to our motto,
great.
Kevin. What's the motto of the day?
The motto of the day for the Becker Orr Group is always have a plan. That is the big one to know. This is part of that strategy. Financial, insurance, wealth transfer, all of these things are mixed together in some format, and you need to have a plan to be able to draw it all together that's best for you. Is that correct? Aren't we talking about this?
You nailed it, Kevin. You nailed it. That was a softball question for you. And as Adam already
as a
mentioned,
financial planner, I love that motto. That's great. Always have a plan, for sure.
And again, if you have questions for me or Clinton or Adam, please feel free to consult us. Go to chatwithclintonandkevin.com. Give us your questions. We're more than happy to answer them as quickly as we possibly can. And hopefully we can provide some answers for you that will work out for you moving down the road. Other than that, I've done everything that I need to say.
I think that covers it all. We'll end there and we'll be back again soon with another video. Take care.